Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel SS Analysis. First of all, I would like to tell you that if you are watching this video first time, subscribe my channel to see my more upcoming videos on analysis of different commodities and equity indices. And second important thing is to watch this video till its end to understand this thoroughly to take your decision. Your one like will motivate me to be regular in working more hard for you. No doubt that the last 2 decades, trade expansion has fueled rapid global economic growth, but with trade volumes contracting at a more than 1% a year, and no doubt that the 16-month-long US-China tariff trade war has impacted a lot to global economies, whereas the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development predicts that the world growth will plunge during the next year. Therefore, it looks very worrisome to think about a downward move in WTI Crude Oil Futures, whereas we have seen a range-bound movement in WTI Crude Oil Futures during the last few weeks. Friends, this is a weekly chart of WTI Crude Oil Futures where we can see that since the advent of tariff trade war in October 2018, we have seen a downward trend in WTI Crude Oil Futures when the WTI Crude Oil Futures touched the lows of $42.65 on December 24, 2018 before coming upward. But since then, after touching the bottom of $42.42, WTI Crude Oil Futures started to move upward and continued its upward journey up to the levels of $66.26 on April 22nd, 2019. No doubt that this was a V-shaped recovery in a weekly chart. Here you can see that here at the levels of $66.66, where WTI Crude Oil Futures found stiff resistance and started to move downward back up to the levels of $50.50, where the WTI Crude Oil Futures formed a good platform to bounce back from these levels back up to the levels of $61, and after facing a stiff resistance on July 15, 2019, WTI Crude Oil Futures touched the lows of $50.77 on August 5, 2019, where I find that the WTI Crude Oil Futures have found a good support from these levels in a downward move. Here you can see that after touching the lows of $50.50, WTI Crude Oil Futures once again moved upward towards the level of $63, where the WTI Crude Oil Futures found stiff resistance on September 16, 2019. Here you can see that during these 3 weeks, WTI Crude Oil Futures moved downward up to September 30th, 2019, when the WTI Crude Oil Futures once again found a good support at the levels of $50.50 and started to make an upward move up to the levels of $58.58, which they attempted on November 18, 2019. Therefore, I find that the WTI Crude Oil Futures in a weekly time frame have ensured that the WTI Crude Oil Futures have finally found a bottom on October 28, 2019 at the levels of $54 and bounced back once again. Therefore, I find that this formation in a weekly chart on October 28, 2019 confirmed advent of a bullish trend in WTI Crude Oil Futures, which continued till November 18, 2019, when once again the WTI Crude Oil Futures touched the highs of $58.58. Here you can see that during this week, WTI Crude Oil Futures touched the lows of $54.54 on November 18th during a sell-off. But here you can see that the WTI Crude Oil Futures found good buying support from these levels, from the levels of $54.54, where they have formed a bullish hammer in a weekly time frame and have entered inside the Ichimoku cloud in a weekly time frame. Friends, here one thing may be noticed very interesting. Here you can see that the WTI Crude Oil Futures have been constantly maintaining buying support on this uptrend line in a weekly chart, where I find that a downward move in WTI Crude Oil Futures from the current levels will find a good buying support at the levels of $54.54, where we can see that during the week of October 18, 2019, we have seen a good buying support from these levels. So friends, here I find that in a weekly chart, now the next resistance level which the WTI Crude Oil Futures will see at the levels of $59.59 at the upper end of this Ichimoku cloud. Once they take a sustainable move above the levels of $60, we will find the WTI Crude Oil Futures to test the next immediate resistance at the levels of $64.71 before moving more upward, because here I find that this uptrend zone which I have shown in green color looks evident enough to maintain an uptrend in WTI Crude Oil Futures up to the levels of $71 during the upcoming weeks. So friends, here I am just waiting for a breakout in WTI Crude Oil Futures above the levels of $60, when a sustainable move in WTI Crude Oil Futures will keep this uptrend intact. Amid this zone, when the WTI Crude Oil Futures may test new highs during the third week of December, if we find some positive development on tariff trade war front on December 15, no doubt that we will see the WTI Crude Oil Futures to test the levels of $74.77 during the last week of December. Now I would like to show you the movements of WTI Crude Oil Futures in a daily time frame. Here you can see that the WTI Crude Oil Futures have found a good support at the levels of $55 again and again. Whenever the WTI Crude Oil Futures find some sell-off from the upper end of this uptrend in a daily time frame, here you can see that since October 3rd, 2019, we have seen the WTI Crude Oil Futures have been constantly maintaining an uptrend amid this uptrend zone where current global situation look worrisome, but I find that this bounce back in WTI Crude Oil Futures have confirmed a breakout in WTI Crude Oil Futures in the daily time frame, when the WTI Crude Oil Futures have broken immediate resistance at the levels of $57 and currently moving above the upper end of this Ichimoku cloud after taking a good support at the lower end of this Ichimoku cloud on November 19th and 20th, when the WTI Crude Oil Futures found a bouncing move from these levels and touched the highs of $58.76, where they found some resistance and finally closed here. Now here I find that a closing above the Ichimoku cloud confirms an advent of an uptrend in WTI Crude Oil Futures during the upcoming week, where they will find their immediate resistance at the levels of $59.90 and second resistance level will be $64.71 in a daily time frame, where I find that during the upcoming week the WTI Crude Oil Futures may test the highs of $65 in the daily time frame, where I find that the lower end of Ichimoku cloud in the daily time frame, which is at the levels of $55, will provide a good buying support from the lower end of this Ichimoku cloud, where you can see the lower end of this upward trend in a daily chart confirms the continuity of buying support in WTI Crude Oil Futures above the levels of $55. So friends, be ready to see an action in WTI Crude Oil Futures, where I find that a sustainable move above the levels of $60 will provide new opportunities to move more upward to test the levels of $68 during the upcoming weeks. So friends, be ready to see an action in WTI Crude Oil Futures. If you like this video, don't forget to share this video with your more and more friends. Thank you.